What is this? My name is Schoolbell.
Okay. Well, did John and Fanny ever own any land? Or did they just always
But I
farm?
know of, they just always moved. If they moved from our house, off this place, over, have you been out in that community to know where the Blue Ridge Cemetery is?
Yeah, I know the cemetery.
Well, there used to be, Smiths lives there now.
Uh-huh.
And there used to be an old schoolhouse, was moved there and made a dwelling, and John and Fanny moved into that house and lived there for a long time.
Is that the schoolhouse that's right across where they used to do the singings?
Well, yes, where Smiths lives now. It's just across south of the cemetery, I'd call it. And that it wasn't that house, it was, of course.
She remembers the schoolhouse.
Yeah, I remember the schoolhouse being there.
Well,
We used to play in there.
Well, that's where John and Fanny lived.
Wow.
And that was, I don't know when Dolphus and Martha married, but Dolphus and Martha lived on towards this old falls, up in an old field where Seals has lived for so long, Jim. That's where Dolphus and Mary lived when Mary died. You remember, can you tell her where that old house was?
Not really.
Well, do you remember when John died?
We had John died before Aunt Fanny, I believe.
She died in 29. Did he die a long time before that?
I don't think he died a long time before she did, because they were both very elderly. To me, I was just a child, but still, it's Uncle John and Aunt Fanny to me.
Well, were they both real nice? And
Oh, they were a nice family. All the children were nice. They were lovable people. They wouldn't have known I had a birthday if it hadn't have been for Aunt Addie. She had a memory, as they said, like an elephant. And when they began questioning when mine and my brother's birthday, where my mother was burned, and all of our records, mine and my brother's records, went with the trash that was carried on. Our house didn't burn. And they didn't know when our birthday was. So Daddy told them, said, I know when our birthday is. So she told us, which I believe I'm sure I was a little older than Addie, but still she knew when I was born. And my brother. And that's where I got my birth certificate.
oh, from her testifying.
That
That's
how
good.
at my age, and then they put it on record. My grandma put it on.
Okay, so you don't know when John died.
No, I don't know the years. I can't remember years.
Okay.
I don't know when Martha died. I remember when, but I don't know the years.
Do you remember how old her youngest kid was, when her youngest baby was when she died?
Martha.
Uh-huh.
Oprah was a baby. She was walking, and she must have been 2 or maybe 3 years old.
Okay. Well, did you know some cousins called Pickens?
Who?
Pickens? Curtis Lee Pickens?
I've heard of them in the community, but I don't remember them.
Okay. Did you know a little girl named Annabelle Warren?
Warren? No, I didn't know
Okay.
Warren's.
Did you know Aunt Mandy Meeks?
What's the last name?
Meeks?
Meeks.
Uh-huh. She was John's sister.
Oh, Uncle John Jones.
Uh-huh.
And no, I don't.
Okay. Did you know anybody named Flora? I found a bunch of names, but it didn't tell
Yeah.
who they were, and I'm just hoping I can figure out if they were kin to us or not.
She's supposed to be in the Jones family or Aunt Fanny's family.
Joneses. I think she's a Jones, but I'm not sure. Okay, let's see, what else? Okay, answered that one. Did you know much about the Tiller family?
Not as much as I did the Joneses. I just, as I grew up, the Tillers come into the community, and we were just all young folks together.
Well, they came here and then they left and came back again.
Did they?
Okay. You don't know what Fanny's name was before she got married, do you?
Seems like I ought to remember that.
Was it Young?
Yes, and Fanny Young.
Okay.
Yeah, she
Okay,
was
that fits
Fanny
then.
Clayton Young. That's right.
Do you know if Uncle John's name was John Henry or John T?
No, I don't have any idea, only Uncle John. And he was a minister. Have you got that?
Uh-huh.
He was a minister. And I'll say he was the most honest man I ever saw in my life.
Good.
He was just, as I said, a farmer. We were all poor folks. He got a check, $25 from somebody. And Uncle John always squinted one eye when he talked. And he come down and he said, "Tom, I got a check." And said, "I don't know who it's from." Pap said, "Well, what about it, John?" He said, "It's not mine. I'm not going to cash it." Pap said, "Why, John," said, "you cash that check." Said, "You preach here and there," and said, "No telling who heard you preach and wanted to send you that money." And said, "You cash that check and use it." "Nope, not going to do it." And he sent that check back.
Is that right?
He sure did. And I know the man needed it.
Yeah. Well, did Fanny ever talk to you about being an Indian?
Being what?
Indian?
No, I never did hear her say anything about it.
I'd heard that she thought she was half Indian, but I didn't know if that was true or if she might have talked to you about it.
Vera, Joe's wife, she said to Taylor, even all of Dad and all them got roll numbers.
Yeah. See, the story
They did good.
the story that I've uncovered is that Fanny was half Indian, but when they made the rolls, she couldn't prove it, and she refused to swear to something she couldn't prove, and so they lost all that Indian stuff.
Our picture that, that HB's got on the wall, she shows these.
Oh yeah, yeah, she does. Do you know where Levi and Dolphus were born? Were they born in Arkansas?
Well, I suppose they were. Now that isn't a knowledgeable thing.
Okay.
But when they moved there on our place, as I said, they had already been living somewhere in Oklahoma. But when they moved there on our place, no one was married. Dolphus and Levi and Addie. Of course, Addie never married. And Hester must have been very young because I believe I'm older than Hester.
Hester was born in '89.
No, he's older than I am.
He was 81 when he died, and he's been dead 28-something years.
Well, then Hester was a little older. I know he was in World War II. I remember that very well.
One, yeah.
One. And so, as I said, I know who both the boys married. Dolphus and Levi. I know who both them married, what size family they had and all that.
Well,
They married the Shazos.
Yeah. Yeah, they married sisters.
Yeah, that's
And then
right.
Mary left and nobody ever knew what happened to her.
Well, did she finally write to Homer when he was about 8 years old?
Oh, I don't know.
Well, now, I was told, this is just community gossip,
Right.
that she wrote Homer a letter
Okay,
and told him.
John's name is Jake John.
Okay, good. Oh, good. That's what I wanted to look at.
Uh,
She wrote him a letter.
she wrote Homer a letter. That was her child. Now, he was about 3 or 4 years old when she left him, and told him asked him if he wanted her to come see him. He wrote back to her and said, "No, I don't want you to come see me. You left me when I was a baby," and said, "Now I don't need you." Now I don't know where that, and that's the last I ever heard of Mary. And she run off with Wick Crump, C-R-U-M-P. There was two of the boys come into that community, Dee Crump and Wick Crump. And Wick run off with Mary, and Dee took old MacDonald's wife away from him.
Wow. Not very nice boys, were
Well,
they?
that was the way it went.
Wow.
A cow's a cow and a horse is a horse.
Yeah. Well, do you know if Fanny, what brothers and sisters she might have had? Did she ever talk about her brothers and sisters?
Mary, you mean?
Fanny.
Fanny, no, I never heard any. Well, I knew Clayton and what was that the baby boy's name?
Jess.
Oh, Jess Young, yeah. I
Yeah.
knew
Well,
Jess Young.
they were cousins.
Well,
They were Jones' cousins. Well, do you know if John Jones had any brothers and sisters?
no, I don't.
Okay. Let's see. Well, I guess that was all my questions, unless you can think of some more stories to tell me.
Now, you can lay that right down there if
Okay.
you want to.
Unless you can think of some more good things to tell me.
Well,
Anything you can remember about the Joneses, I'd love to hear.
well, it's like I've told you, I love the family, all of them, and really, this is all just gossip. I was growing up the age to be beginning to kind of see this boy and that boy, and I kind of looked at Hester several times, but that's just passing fancy back. And I wrote to him, I gave his picture to, his service picture to Oretta, I guess, and she was going to have one of all of her children when they got married. But I do have some pictures of Fanny and I guess Homer when see now when Mary died, then Uncle John and Aunt Fanny moved into the house with Dolphus to help him take care of his children. Mary had consumption, or TB we call it, and Opal was a baby. And then people, when somebody's sick, they cooked up a pan full of food and took it to the family, and Mammy would take lots of food. And I was out a lot during her sickness. And they moved in with them. Then when Mary left Homer, Levi took Homer and moved there. So they all just lived. Neither one of the boys ever married again. They just
And Addie lived with them all the time.
and Abby lived with them all the time. And Addie just sat around all the time. She wasn't very talkative. And she'd talk to you, but not very talkative.
Did she just like help with the housework and stuff?
I don't know. I never did see her do a thing. Never did. But she had these two little fingers that she held like this. I can remember seeing her hands around those.
Yeah, somebody told me she had extra fingers.
Yeah, she had extra fingers, and she held them. These are old pictures. You can tell by the clothes they have on. Looks like people would have marked their pictures.
I know it. It just drives me crazy that people didn't mark their pictures. So much has just been lost because
Now that one looks kind of like a Jones, don't it?
yeah, he does. It might be a cousin or something.
Now this could be Levi and Mary, because Mary was kind of that Bill woman. Martha was a larger woman than Mary. Mary was a slender woman.
Oh, well, then that could be Homer then.
Yeah, and that could be Homer. We're just, I remember when they made these kind of old pictures. Oh, that one's Mark. Fanny Jones
Yeah,
and a
and a
friend.
friend, but it didn't say, Theda. Grandma's sister Theda wrote that on there for me, but she didn't know who that other woman was, and I was hoping you might recognize her.
No, I don't have any other. This is Aunt Fanny, I can tell.
Yeah, yeah, I recognized her. We've got a big picture of her.
But I don't have any idea who that one was.
Mary left. Yeah, Mary. Martha had TB and died.
Martha had 2 children dead with one more son. The Grady, as I call
What
him.
was Elsie's baby's name?
Jack.
Probably.
Elsie's baby was Jack.
Well, that wasn't, I started calling him something else.
The pictures call him Jack.
He died when he was about 5.
Diphtheria, I
He
think.
had one.
Jack was about the same age as my mother, I think.
Doc Carter, I remember him, he lived with them.
Yeah, he was one of Paul's best friends.
Yeah, old Doc Carter. People used to say, oh, and there was old Doc Carter.
He probably wasn't 25 years old.
And this still kind of resembles Levi to me a little bit.
Did you say that Martha had 2 babies died?
No, I didn't know but the one,
Oh,
Grady.
okay, just Grady. Okay, good.
Yeah, they would call him Little Grady. I don't know why they said Little Grady, but they did. Little old Elsie. We went to school together. And Elsie didn't have gloves, and I was pretty well provided for. And I'd help her, I'd say, Elsie, give me your book and your dinner bucket, and you put one hand in this pocket and put the other hand under your arm. Her little hands would be so cold. And that's where we'd walk most of the way from there on to school after.
How far was it?
Well, it was a mile or maybe more. They was closer to us than they were to the schoolhouse. And we'd come, the children then went trails to make it shorter. And we'd cut across and go up to Jones's house after they moved in the house with Doctors and Mary. Go up there and then go to school together. Hubert and I were the same age. We was in the grade together through school. We were both in 8th grade together. Lou Rich quit teaching 8th grade, and I came to Calvin. He didn't. He just stopped out of school.
But Blue Ridge had its own school then.
Yeah, they had school. But when they first got out the 8th grade, and then they didn't have enough children to keep the school on, and just transferred the whole school to Calvin. But I was already there. Year. I was already here.
Yeah, here, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I wonder, why did John and Fanny come to Calvin? What, was there something here that made them want to come here?
I don't know. I don't remember them ever moving here into town. They just lived out there in the Blue Ridge community.
Well, I mean, why they moved to Oklahoma?
I don't have any idea why. Why did my family? Well, I know why my family came from Oklahoma. My grandpa was a revenue,
Well, every year since they got there, we started.
and he came down on the Red River and drifted across the river picking cotton down in Texas. He and two of the children that he had in the wagon with him because he had slipped off from Arkansas. And then left my grandma and the two older children, so they had friends as you usually do. And one night they had, Tom had left Nancy. That was a gossip. Then you didn't have to have a written statement. You could just tell it and it was true. So that was the gossip, was that Tom Orange had left Nancy. And so one night, this guy told my grandma, said, you tie up what clothes and what you've got to have. Now they own their home there in Arkansas, my grandma, come on. And furniture in their house. Said, and I'll let you know when to be ready. Said, I'll come get you and I'll take you to Mina and put you on the train. And said, you said, I'll have your tickets and I'll correspond with Tom all the time. Of course, she didn't dare write to my grandma, but he could write to this man. And so that's how she got out. And come to my grandpa. He was on this side of the river, and they drifted up to Gertie, picking cotton for somewhere. Somehow they wound up at Gertie and lived at Gertie for a good while before they moved down on the river. And then from the river on, they bought the place where my grandpa lived. When I come to him in 1908. Come to my grandma in 1908. And I was 3 years old.
Well, do you remember when my grandparents got married?
Oh, Lord, no, I wasn't born then.
Well, no, my grandparents, Hester and May.
Oh, Hester and May. Oh, yes, I remember when Hester and May got married. The whole community remembered that because everybody was shocked, speechless.
Oh, really? How
Hester
come?
was an old bachelor.
Yeah, he was 30.
And so nobody ever expected Hester to get married.
Oh, they didn't know he'd been courting her?
Oh, yeah, he'd been going with her, but they didn't think that he'd ever marry anybody.
That's neat.
I worked in the field with Hester and the Peanuts. I mean, a day after him and they married. Even we went over and helped thresh Hester's and May's peanuts. Such he said.
Was Hester have his own place when they got married? He was already farming on his own?
I don't remember whether Hester had already started farming for himself or not. I visited with Hester and May a lot after they married. Even though I hadn't married yet, they would still come to our house and sit up if we had sickness and things like that. And one night we was setting up with the grandma and she was crying. So she made us get up and go to the kitchen, said we was bothering her. There was one of my cousins, and Hester and May and myself. We got them in the kitchen. We was all married. And they'd been married for about a year and then having children. And we was all sitting around the table. You know, they used to take a handkerchief and roll it, and they called it a baby swing, and looked like a little doll laying down in there, and they'd swing it like that. And I had my handkerchief. I'd seen them made, and they had made a kind of imitation, you know. And I made and was fooling with that. Reckon I said, does May, do you all know how to make a baby? Of course, my cousin, he was just but he picked it up. He said, well, Grace, don't you know better than to ask Hester May a question like that? And then when he saw what he had said, you know, he and Hester just left the room. Well, yeah, May and I, we had that for a joke between us from then on. And I had a baby, I married, had a baby before they did. And it's my first baby. I lived here in town. They come into Calvin to Trades Day on Saturday. Here come May down to see me. First thing she come in and said, well, now have you learned how to make a baby? And after she got sick and was not talking and laughing to nobody,
But I mean, the family.
I went over there to see her and I said, HB, can May hear? And do you care if I get over there in the cot and sit down by her and whisper something in her ear? He said, no, yes, that she could hear. And said, she don't care. So I scooted over there and whispered in May's ear. And she said, and grinned, a big old grin. And they all, after we left, were all got us with me. She said, you must have told May something funny because that she never takes anything anymore. But that's what we had between us always.
Yeah, they were married like 5 years before they had my mother.
I didn't know how long, but I knew they was.
And as far as I know, they didn't lose a baby before Mom. I think
No, I
Mom
don't
was the
think
first
so
one.
either. Well, I was married over a year before our first one came. And we began to think we wasn't going to ever have any babies.
Well, Mama, that wasn't very long, but you said 9 months carrying it, barely over a year.
Yeah, we got busy when we started. We didn't fool about it. We got 7.
September of 1 year, now Mina's born in December of the next year.
Well, yeah, I'd been married over a year. And then there wasn't 2 years difference between my first 3 children, not a one of them. She wasn't 2 years old when Grady was born. Grady wasn't 2 years old when Weston was born.
Well,
I had 4 boys and 3 girls.
yours are older than Grandma's kids then. Your kids are all older than Jimmy?
Oh, yeah.
Are they?
Oh,
All but the last.
I thought of Kester when you said Jimmy.
Well, you know what? I've got to go. I've got to go cook HB supper. So.
Oh, you're staying over there too.
Yeah. I want to look at the Bible real quick and let's see. Where do I stop it?
And he heard a body hollering and run to her. And when he got there, him and Aunt Bonnie together could lift that rock up enough till he put his knees under it and put it down on his knees and held the weight of the rock, and she reached under there and pulled that baby out. Dolph said that was the strongest, stoutest woman he ever saw in his life.
Was it too late for the baby?
No, yes, they saved it, but it was, they thought it was dead. But they run here in Calvin horseback and got the doctor, and they, I don't remember seeing it, but they said you just take his finger and take out big old chunks of muddy water and bleed him out of its throat, and they saved the baby. But he was always sickly. He never was a healthy child. And it hurt her back till she was in bed for 2 weeks after that. Before lifting that. I remember all that. And of course, they were so proud of Dolphus coming to her lifting. I've heard him preach a many of her sermons. And I remember hearing him preach on tithes. And he said, if we would all just give our tithes, God would open up the skies and said, oh, what a great surprise. Said you'd be surprised at what a blessing that the whole world would get if they just everybody paid their tithes. And I remember that sermon that we preached on that.
Oh, that's neat. Well, I appreciate so much you sharing this with me. You just have no idea how much it means. This was Mona Orbig speaking to Mrs. Grace Howe in Calvin, Oklahoma on April the 20th, 1996.